I've decided to do another 24-hour readathon, so join me, come along. This time I'm gonna do a little bit differently. Last time I just read one book because I didn't know how much I would be able to read in a 24-hour period because I had never done that before. This time I'm actually just gonna see how much I can read. So last time I finished the book like pretty early, and this time I decided to make a longer TBR in hopes that we can just see what my reading rate is, I guess. Fun times. Anyways, I have a TBR for this readathon. I am going to start with The Wicked King. I'm already about 80 pages in. I didn't know I was going to do this until about noon today, so I figure I can start it at noon and end it at noon tomorrow. It actually gives me time to do an audiobook for some other books while I'm on a road trip because we're going to be visiting my parents this weekend. Anyways, the first book is going to be The Wicked King. I'm about 80 pages in. So far, I'm having to suspend a lot of disbelief when it comes to how Jude got into the position that she is as like the right hand of the king, seeing as she is just a human in a fairy world and she's incredibly weak. Like, they keep mentioning how weak she is, but somehow she was able to get a bunch of power and know what to do with it. I don't know. I'm having to suspend quite a bit of disbelief when it comes to that. And then I picked up this book because it was on the Book Talk romance side, the romance side of Book Talk, and I thought that's what I was going to be getting, and I don't get it. Maybe it's just me, I don't get the bully romance, but the flirtation between Carden and Jude, maybe I just don't get it, or if I need to read more, I don't know. We'll see how that goes as it continues. I know this is a YA fantasy, so it's not going to be as hot, obviously, as like A Touch of Darkness or From Blood and Ash, but I would think that there would be more than just really bad banter. So we'll see how that goes for the rest of today. Tonight I am planning on starting Home Before Dark. I actually wanted to kind of do like, since I didn't get to read this on Halloween, I wanted to do like a little bit more of an atmosphere thing and wait till tonight when I'm in bed to read Home Before Dark. If you guys hadn't seen my other TBR, this is about a daughter of a man who writes a story about the house that they lived in that was haunted, and she goes back to visit the house to see if anything that he wrote was true, and I imagine, as always, chaos ensues from there. So, Home Before Dark tonight. It's about 400 pages, almost 400 pages, so hopefully I'll be able to finish it so that I can start, you bet, We Hunt the Flame tomorrow morning when I go on my road trip. It's about a 5-hour road trip to my parents, and this is about a 10-hour audiobook, so at 2 times speed I should be able to zoom through this as well. And then I will be starting off the month by knocking off 3 of the books, 2 which I should have read last month. But anyways, hopefully that is the case. I can tell you a little bit more about We Hunt the Flame. I also mentioned it in my TBR. But this is a character who is disguised as a man, goes on a quest to find an article, an item that's supposed to help her world. And then another character, a prince, is on the same quest. Difference is that he's also sent to kill her. And as always, there's apparently a little bit of romance, there's a little bit of fantasy. Looking forward to reading this one a lot. I've seen quite a few things about this on Instagram, and I am hoping to just really get immersed in some good fantasy on my road trip. And yeah, we're gonna finish The Wicked King this afternoon. I'm gonna take my kids on a walk later today, hopefully wear them out, so that tonight I have plenty of time to sit down and read Home Before Dark. I don't see myself taking too much longer to read this book. It's only about 300 pages, and like I say, it's a YA fantasy book, which I seem to go through a little bit quicker. So, until I check in with you guys again, I hope you're having a fabulous time, and welcome to another day. Okay, shamelessly scavenged through my kids' Halloween candy. I also have some tea, and now I should be good to go to read another, let's say 100 pages, and I'll check in with you guys. You put it on the paper? What? No way. It's a couple days later. Like I said, I went to my parents' house, spent some time with them, and I figured I'd just wait till I got home to close out my little 24-hour reading vlog. So, let me give you an update. You got a lot of just footage of my 24-hour readathon. I didn't give you very many reading updates, and it's mostly because my 2-year-old had a day, which I don't mind. It just meant that I got to play a lot with dinosaurs and building blocks and paint and entertain him, watch some cartoons. Not that bad. I did still get a lot of reading done, so that's awesome. I finished The Wicked King before I had gone to bed. So, I have to suspend a lot of disbelief, and I think I already mentioned that. Firstly, with Jude being a mortal human and incredibly weak compared to fairies, and also I don't know how she became so politically savvy. I think on occasion they mentioned that her fairy father kind of trained her in that, but I find it really hard to believe that she's as good as she is to become the right hand of the king. Also, there's one scene in here that was like the biggest pet peeve, and basically Jude is being attacked by fairy guards, and during this attack she's able to pick up a battle axe and swing it at a fairy on a horse and kill him. And that's hard for a full-grown, well-trained man to do, let alone a human female who has only ever done like a little bit of sword play. So that was interesting. I will always pick up a Holly Black book. I love Holly Black. I love her worlds. I don't, for the most part, I really don't care about her characters or the plot lines. I just love hearing about her world. And yeah, so it was worth that much. Figuring out where all like the political intrigue was pretty interesting in this book. I think that's why I didn't DNF it, was because I wanted to see how everything ended up. It was still very interesting. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up the third book. They're not very long. They're very easy to read. And like I said, I enjoy being in Holly Black's fairy world. I do. I'll read anything in it. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up The Queen of Nothing, but we'll see how that goes. The next book I finished that night was Home Before Dark. This is my first Riley Sager book. It's actually my first like adult thriller book. I normally don't pick up books like this. And it was fun. What do I think? It didn't take me very long to read. It's a very fast read. I can see why people who read like thrillers and romances and mysteries can read like 30+ books a month. It's kind of nice to be able to pick up a book and finish it pretty quickly. Home Before Dark was interesting. I couldn't have guessed the ending. I kind of had the feeling about the ending. I was like, oh yeah, possible. But I didn't expect it to turn out exactly like it did, so I enjoyed that. It was also pretty spooky for me. Like I said, I don't read thrillers, so this was pretty spooky. I'm interested in reading some more Riley Sager, so if you guys have any recommendations, you should put them down below. I believe like Survive the Night has just came out and no one really liked that book, so I just wanted to make sure I'm picking the right books. Home Before Dark was definitely fun for me. I'll give it that. And then, as you saw, I listened to half of the audiobook for We Hunt the Dawn, and I must say the fantasy world, like this book is written so beautifully. Like despite anything else in this book, it is so beautifully written. Like it is lyrical, it's just immersive. I loved this fantasy book. If you like the David Bode trilogy, I would say read this. If you liked this and haven't read the David Bode trilogy, I'd say read that. They're very similar as far as like setting and atmosphere. Yeah, so I would definitely say pick that up. I enjoyed this quite a bit, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely like this, like enemies to lovers, sort of like bantery, I kind of like you, I don't know, a lot more than this one. Which, by the way, is another critique I have of this, is that I don't get the romance at all. Like, I don't get it. I think I mentioned that before. Jude, Carden, I don't see what the big deal on Book Talk is about them. But I definitely say, if you like romance, yeah, like, despite that, if you like romance, if you like lyrical writing, if you want to just be immersed in a really good book, I'd say pick this one up for sure. It's interesting, there's some plot twists. I wouldn't deny this. The audiobook is pretty good too. I tend to get lost in audiobooks when they're fantasy because there's so much world building that you have to keep track of, and that's hard enough to do when you're reading it physically, let alone with an audiobook. So I'm sure there had to have been some nuances I missed in this book. However, I still liked it. I think it was just like it was a 3-star day all around. It was a 3-star for all of these for the most part. Yeah, decent fantasy, nothing too crazy, still beautiful. Lots of issues with this book. However, I still love Holly Black's world and found it interesting. Maybe this is a 2-star. You know what? I'm gonna say this is a 2-star. This was everyone's favorite too. I think it's gonna be a 2-star. And this is a 3-star because I don't really know how to compare this to other thrillers. Maybe I like it so much because this is the first time I ever read a thriller and I'm not as, I don't know, trained in what to look for in a thriller, but appreciate that. That's Lilith, by the way. Anyways, I had a lot of fun. I wish I had given more reading updates as I went along, but maybe next time. I knocked off 3 books off of my TBR this month within a day, so I'm not going to complain about that. And yeah, I think that's it. Stay tuned. I'm going to have another book up later this week. I do videos every Wednesday and Sunday now. And yeah, hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Please tell me if there are any Riley Sager books I should continue to read, because I would be interested. Lilith is saying goodbye.